What has what has the realization been with this new lineup you're playing with, the starting lineup? Like, what's your comfort level, and do you feel like it's evolving?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like just the only realization I've had is that we're really, really good. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a realization. I feel like we've all known that. I think it's just about, like you said, kind of continuing to gel. Like, unexpected stuff happens in the sport all the time, and we're without CB and AG and Julian, so the next man had to step up, whether it was me, Spence, but I feel like I've had some good practice kind of in this role with just AG being out a little bit my third year, but I feel good.
I know that David Adelman talked about you and Spencer having to really figure out who's in the dunker, who's in the corner, the spacing there. What is the key for you to know which spot to be in and where?
I mean, I think it just depends on the flow of the game and kind of where you're coming from. A lot of times the spacing moves from one place to another. So depending on where Yoke or Jamal brings the ball on what part of the court, it tells us what to do. But it's really just reading the game and, being in here with the coaches, learning how to read the game.
How has your shot blocking talent evolved?
I think that it's evolved just in knowing kind of which ones to really go after, and then which ones might be a waste of energy, or it might put you out of position and your teammate might have to recover and help you out. So I think it's just been my discernment on which ones to go on and which ones to stay, because on some of my best blocks, it wasn't even my rotation. It was just kind of an instinct that I had, and I just went and got it. But I think that this year I'm kind of doing it a lot more strategically, and just within the flow of our defense and kind of our shell defense. So I think that that's where it's gone, but it's all the same.
Can you share a little bit about what you look for in terms of good opportunities?
Yeah, just the player, knowing their game, watching a lot of film. Like, a lot of times there's, guys who are athletes, but they'll play kind of under the rim. So they'll lay it up, or they'll give me enough time to get there and swat the shot before they get it above the rim. And then there's other players that are way above the rim athletes that you got to be there early on and meet them at the top. So it's just really knowing the personnel and knowing the players you're playing against, I'd say.
You've been one of the leaders in dunks, just among non-centers, guys who have been able to cut and find the opportunity. Talk about the short corner a little bit, just where you continue to figure out how to flow within this starting group. Just, is that becoming more natural in terms of when to cut, how to cut, and then finding those seams, finding those lanes?
Yeah, absolutely. And imagine if I didn't miss a couple, I'd be probably sitting at a few more. So, it's always good to be able to position yourself right place, right time. I think that I learned a lot of that from watching CB. I think CB is one of the best in the league in it, as far as, just being in the right place at the right time and his positioning. So I watched a lot of him last year being on the bench, and just watching that first group kind of operate. And it's something that when you're playing with players as great as Nikola and Jamal, they make the game easy, and there's a lot of open space to be able to cut and find opportunities. So I think the rest of it is just, God-given, just being an athlete, having long arms, and just being right place, right time, for sure.
Why did you smile when you said CB like that?
I smiled because my assistant coach, Mike Moser, was back there being goofy, but I was super serious about how CB is literally one of the best people at being right place, right time, you know what I'm saying?
What have you liked about Mike so far?
Liked about Mike Moser?
Yeah.
I don't like much about him. I'm just playing. He's a great dude, just super solid, super helpful, super insightful. He's one of those people that, he'll pull you to the side and he'll really talk the game with you and ask you what you saw and tell me what he saw. And, just bouncing those ideas off of each other has really been good for me this year. And just having an extra voice in your ear, somebody who's played the game, is always helpful.
Well, it's not just him. There's a number of new coaches here, and I'm just wondering, how different does it feel, even though the head coach has been here as an assistant for many years?
Yeah, it's a lot different, It's a lot different. This business is definitely, you have to learn to kind of manage different personalities and, know who you're dealing with in this business a lot. But I feel like with these coaches, they make it so easy because their energy is so positive and they genuinely do want everybody to get better and everybody to succeed. And that's something that I feel like all of them are bought in on. So it makes it easier for us, the players, to go out there and do our jobs when they're helping us execute.
Just being
close with Julian. How tough has it been on him to miss this stretch at the same time where other guys have been out, and ordinarily that can just sort of help with opportunity and playing time? And that sort of
Absolutely. I know it's tough on him. I know that, Julian loves basketball first and foremost, so I know he wants to be out there playing with us. But also I feel like he knows that his skill set is valuable to our team, and he's helped us win games, playoff games. So I think just not being able to be out there is always tough. But Julian is, he's a professional of all professionals. Like, he keeps his head high. He's encouraging from the bench. He's paying attention in practice. He's still going hard with his rehab. And we know that when he does decide to step back on the court, or whenever he's cleared to step back on the court, that he'll be ready.
Can you give an example of something that you saw from Christian where you're like, oh, I can add that to my game, just in terms of that off-ball movement?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of what I learned from CB is just kind of like his positioning on late cutting and how he kind of surfs the line. Like, there will be a lot of times where I feel like with Yoke, when you're playing with him, when he picks the ball up, that people automatically assume, oh, he's going to shoot it. But Yoke has so many passes and so many things in his bag that make him one of the best passers of all time, to where he could look like he's shooting it and at the last time just dump it off to you. So I would see with CB a lot of times him just kind of surfing that line and keeping himself on his toes, being ready for when those balls do come to him. So I think with CB, I just a lot of times just watch how he surfed the line and his body positioning.
Coach yesterday was talking about the road winning streak, and he thought you guys have been on the road so much you've sort of developed a rhythm in what you do on the road. Do you sense that, or what do you think's the key ingredient to this road winning streak?
Yeah, I think it's just I think we get attested to just having the same approach every game no matter what. I think that everybody in this locker room understands that every game for us is very winnable, regardless of if it's on the home or on the road or at home. So I think it's just going in with that approach that, yeah, these guys, this is their home court. They practice here all the time. These are their fans. But at the same time, this is something that we do every day, and we're prepared to come in here and battle. So I think it's just our approach towards the game.
Sacramento got you guys on a back-to-back last time. Just what do you need to do differently this time around with a little bit of extra rest to get that and get a win?
We just got to do what, has been our challenge all year, which is get stops. I think everybody understands that we're going to score the ball at a high rate. But I think it's just getting stops, making the other team more uncomfortable, and also finding ways to get out and run in transition even on the road. I know a lot of teams run a lot at home, and they're more comfortable playing fast at home, but I feel like we're really, really good at that, and that's something that we have to implement more and more as we go on the road.
Peyton, Spencer's a guy who went from not having many opportunities to having a lot of opportunities. I guess, how have you kind of seen him attack what's in front of him?
It's been amazing to see. That's how I got my calling card, was just in those limited opportunities, or when you get the chance to, you got to go in there and make something happen and show your value to the team. And that's something that Spencer's done. He's coming to work with his hard hat on every day. I feel like everybody says the same thing about him, which is that he comes in here and he does what's asked of him. And you can never underestimate that or knock that. He comes in every day with his hard hat on and he's ready to work. I'm really proud of him for that.
For the whole team.
I mean, it's been great. I mean, we got 3 guys off, and last week we were on the road the whole time, so that's a little bit draining. But it was great. I mean, today's was very detailed in terms of end of game stuff, in terms of defensively, offensively, just so we make sure to close those out. I mean, a couple of our losses have come because of that. So it was great to get back in, get the details, and just have some fun with each other for this week.
In what way is there a chemistry that you're developing now with this new lineup you're playing with, the starting lineup?
Yeah, I mean, look, we move the ball so efficiently and everything like that. If you're in the right spot, you're going to get an easy bucket. And so that's kind of been the thing, just figuring out which spots to be in when I'm in the dunker, when I'm in the corner, where the defense is, crowding Yoke and everything like that, where to find the spots out of that. And so this week has been very helpful in terms of doing that, and Yoke's obviously been great, kind of helping me out where he wants me to be and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely you can see the chemistry will grow, and, hopefully the more easy baskets you'll get from that. So.
David Adelman actually talked about this yesterday. You and Peyton can both be in the corner or the dunker, so it's about figuring out when to to be where. What is it about that? Is it a call? Is it a matchup? Like, how do you know where to be?
It's just a feel in terms of how you're moving and spacing and stuff like that. You know, you don't want any awkward movement or to be too close to each other to where one defender can guard two. So it just depends. Like if I'm cutting through and my momentum's taking me all the way to the corner, he'll replace and take with the dunker. So yeah, there were definitely times in the beginning where we were both there and it was crowded and it was difficult for Yoke, but we're definitely figuring it out. And then also it's, you know, who's shooting, how's the shooting performance been? Like if I've hit a couple threes, yeah, I'm probably gonna want me in the corner more. If he's hit a couple, move him to the corner. So it's all feel situationally. That's everything you're trying to read.
Knowing that you're playing more minutes, like does that change your approach defensively at all in terms of how much energy, how much focus you're able to give on that?
No, I mean that's my main job, so that's where my main focus will always be. It doesn't matter how many points I'm putting up or whatever. You know, like I said, offensively we're fine. Defensively is, you know, our next step, and so that's the best way I can provide and everything like that. But yeah, in terms of like if I get early fouls and stuff like that, then yes, because they're going to need me more down the stretch, playing more minutes versus, you know, if I was getting in less. That's where it's changed a little bit like that, just being more in tune with that. But in terms of the energy and focus stuff like that, it's mostly on that end. So.
With your increased opportunity, what does that do to your own expectations of yourself?
I mean, look, my only expectation is to keep our win streaks and keep our record going. You know, typically if you do that, everything else follows. I don't really put too much stock into stats and stuff like that. But it is, you know, I will take my assignments as a personal challenge and really push to see, you know, how good of a defender I can be and then how much I can fit in offensively and make things easy for other guys. So.
Kind of following up on that, just playing more minutes, have you had to change anything about your routine or preparation, or has it kind of just been the same?
I like to keep everything as consistent as possible because I mean, look, you know, my minutes will go up and down or whatever depending on, you know, when guys come back and everything like that. So like you need to have consistency in your routine and everything like that. And so maybe, you know, some of my lifts and everything like that will tailor a little bit down, but in terms of doing them, that stays consistent. But I let everybody else kind of control, you know, my load and everything like that. Everything I like to keep it the same as possible. So
I know one of the emphases of the defense, I guess, is to kind of be able to protect Nikola as much as possible, especially with how much he has to do offensively. Playing with him defensively more, what are you kind of learning about kind of the challenges and sort of the areas where you can kind of try to...
Yeah, the biggest one is like when you're guarding some of the best players and they're bringing the ball up the court, you want to try to get into them as much as possible because then that moves the screen out further, it makes it easier for you to get over it. Especially like when, you know, Yoke's having to take an offensive load, you get hit by a screen, he's put in a difficult situation where, you know, it's kind of tough. So you want to try to get over the screens as much as you can. So that's why DA preaches a lot of like as soon as the ball gets past half court, pressing the offense so they start later or the offense starts higher and everything like that. And then the rest of it's like a lot of IQ stuff on like how to help, you know, if you have two defenders on one side, you know, which one do you want the ball going to? And so sometimes you'll, you know, if there's a great shooter in the corner, you'll maybe stun at the guy with the ball to prevent it from going to the corner. And so a lot of IQ, more IQ stuff like that. And then, but most of it's just being physical, which DA has been preaching. So.
What do you feel like you've proven?
I've proven that I'm a pretty good defender and I can handle my own against some of the star players. I've now proven that, you know, I can't really leave me alone and have to respect my jumper, which, you know, I'm happy to have proven because I definitely have confidence in it. But it's, you know, it's the NBA. They're gonna test you and everything like that. And so, you know, I think those are the main things we need, especially coming with the playoffs. You just need guys who can defend and then guys who are going to stretch out the defense and give more room for Nikola and stuff like that. And so I feel like that's all I've needed to prove, and that's, you know, I feel like I've done that so far. So.
Spencer, on the two-way contract, obviously you're limited to how many games you can be active for, and the team has an open roster spot. Is that in your head at all? Is that a motivating factor, or how are you just kind of handling and approaching the timeline that's coming up?
Yeah, I try to think of it as little as possible, but I mean, you know, your agent will, you know, just remind me and stuff like that, and have everything ready for negotiations or whatever. But I mean, you know, look, I wear a game, I don't know, near 25 or something like that, or maybe above that, I don't know. But so like, you know, I still got like halfway to go till we're even at that decision. So I mean, for me right now, it's just taking advantage of the opportunity I have until you know, AG and CB get back, and then see where my role is after that, and just keep growing from there. And you know, like I said, you keep winning and do all that stuff, the rest takes care of itself. So yeah.
You mentioned the team needing to hold each other accountable a couple weeks ago after a game. Where do you think the team is in that regard? And who are the guys that most are comfortable holding everyone to account?
I never thought we were in a bad spot of holding each other accountable. It's just where we had to put more focus at. Like, I don't think anybody, you know, it was a collective team thing. There weren't any individual guys or anything like that. You know, it was just something we have to do. Like, you know, as a team, like when you're that great on offense, you know, naturally you're just going to think, you know, you can kind of just do whatever, everything like that. But no, all the guys are great at doing it. I mean, obviously Yoke, Maul, fantastic at it. But even like the bench guys like Val, Tim's pretty vocal and everything like that. And everybody echoes with DA. I mean, we all have this similar message. No one's taking anything to heart. It's been a great locker room to be a part of.
Thank you,
Spencer.
Appreciate you.
David, a month ago you talked about the value of getting to experiment with lineups and maybe even different strategy. With guys out of the rotation, has that kind of taken away your ability to get too creative?
Yeah, a little bit. And also just the way the games have played out. Changing the rotation, what it was 2 weeks ago, having Jamal run longer with Nikola also changes things. So both those guys are coming out at the same time. So in that sense, it's been different. I did not envision going into the season playing Cam as kind of the guy we take out first and then kind of complement the second unit, and it's been good. So in that sense, we have done something different, kind of messing with the lineups. But to your point, it does exasperate minutes, which means you have less creativity. But I'd love to get Nikola and Jonas out there together. If we can find the minutes, we're not anti, doing it. It's just I got to find the right time. Maybe it's tomorrow.
What is the thought process with Cam on the bench unit or the second unit, but also Jamal more minutes with Nikola? Is it one that's more valuable than the other? Is it the combo of both things?
Yeah, I think it allows Cam, Tim, and Jonas to feel like offensively it's their unit, and they don't have to complement someone. They can just play their game. And I think it allows Cam to be more of a ball handler, get him to his right hand, as opposed to when he's in the flow with Nikola and Jamal. We're trying to get Jamal-centric actions in, Nikola post-ups, Nikola at the elbow. Sometimes, Cam is just doing his job. He does it extremely well. But I think it's allowed him to play his game a little bit more, and that unit's had some really good moments. And then Jamal in Atlanta playing with that unit was really good too, which I'm sure down the road, playoffs, if we're lucky enough to make it, Jamal could be a really good piece to that unit as well.
The starting unit, I know you put in Spencer in one way to help with the defense, but surprisingly the offense has just been unbelievable with the starting group. Just were you surprised by that? Was the team not necessarily surprised, but just pleasantly surprised with some of the offensive progress?
Right. I think Spence is probably surprised other teams. I mean, the fact that he's making threes, and then what he complements that with, when you put stuff on tape, it's a big deal. And he's had a couple moments where he's flooded the baseline when they doubled Nikola, and he's dunked on people. Like he's showing people his skill set. To your point, I did not expect us to score the ball like we have, but I do think part of the reason why we're scoring at such a high rate is that second unit's been better too. And having Jonas be so efficient in his minutes, the way Tim can get hot, and obviously what Cam does to complement both sides of it, starting five and the second unit, it's just come very easy to us. And not to mention our points off turnovers haven't been where I want it, but our turnovers have been down. We really have taken care of the ball. And the assisted turnover thing is such a big deal because that's more shots to the rim, it's more opportunities. With the way we shoot the ball and pass the ball, I've been pleasantly surprised, but then not totally shocked just because of the way the guys play for each other.
At the other end, when you have a defense-first player come into that lineup and they're playing with Jokic more, what are the key points as far as trying to help protect Jokic for a guy like Spencer?
Yeah, I actually think it's not about Jokic, it's about those guys learning how to play off all the double teams and almost zone coverage of him. When to cut, when to save space it's an important fundamental that we have to teach. I think Philadelphia, when Embiid was healthy, was another team that had to do it. Carl in Minnesota, where most of these teams are more guard-centric, pick-and-roll-centric. We play off the elbows, we play split game, we post up. And you have to learn the rules of those things. And, we have certain things we talk about that are just fundamentals of cutting and fundamentals of when to save space. And those guys have to feel that out. And the better off they are timing those things up, the better shots we get on the weak side.
What are your impressions of Nick Clifford?
Man, plays super hard. Their team in general, man, on tape is playing super hard. So we have to understand that. They crash the glass the way they do. There's just so much energy out there on the court, so it's going to be a challenge, especially with all the days off that we've had, but he complements all that.
We talked a lot about the screening after last game. Just kind of saying that it's a rare art, I guess, in today's league. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because most teams have gone to some of this 1 through 4 switching off the ball, so it's become more of a thing of slipping and playing. And I think the trend this year is teams are staying with their own a lot more. And if that's the case, knocking people off is so important. And we've done that throughout the season. We really have. And then I think Jonas has brought a different physicality to us. The offensive foul the other night in Charlotte, I'll take that every game. We have to hit people to get people loose. It's part of the reason why Jamal's had such a good start, is his teammates have really given themselves up for him. And then once he plays in space, we know how special he is. So going forward, we know what it was in the playoffs last year. You have to win the physicality battle. You got to be okay with a few offensive fouls a game. The best offensive teams do that, and you have to almost toe the line of what is legal and what's not, because that's what the game is. And so, yeah, I've been really proud of the guys throughout the early part of the season.
How do you balance that, like I guess slipping and actually setting screens? Because like when you slip, let's say it's a wing setting a screen for Jamal, you can get open for 3. Like, what's kind of the balance look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's what they do, and a lot of teams in the past have switched out to take away people coming to the ball, and so we got really good at slipping. CB is one of the best in the league. But this year, teams have said, we don't want to put somebody else on Jamal Murray. He's playing at such a high level. So now it becomes more of just a pin-down, dribble handoff game. Same thing with the high split. So, yeah, it's just kind of reading the game. And obviously, we have to do our homework. We watch these teams, not just how they score the ball, but how they defend, which allows me a chance to teach that the day of the game, or like a day like today, we got to kind of walk through Sacramento and who they are. So it's a night-to-night thing. Guys have to read it. And then if the game plan changes for other teams, just being a basketball player, playing with IQ.
David, what do you think the biggest challenges are for a guy like Spencer, who at sometimes, when you guys are healthy, doesn't have much of an opportunity? Things change rapidly, and all of a sudden he's a guy you're relying on quite a bit.
I would say just that. That is the challenge. That's the NBA. It's just be ready, stay ready. Your opportunity will come. And Spence, what he's done with his chance is put every thought in our heads that it's going to be hard not to play him. But once we get fully healthy, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions, especially on the back end of the rotation. But I'll tell you this, man, growing up around this, I remember Steve Novak not playing for 2.5 weeks in Houston, and they put him in the last play of the game, and he makes a 3 to win the game. That's professionalism. Stretching and every time out, thinking I might go in the game right here. That's part of what this whole thing is. That's why we pay these guys a lot of money to be ready, stay ready. And when you have a deep team like this, you have to be unselfish and just know that my opportunity when it comes, my mind has to be there. I have to be ready to roll, as opposed to, well, we'll just see what happens. Guys like that, they get surprised when they go out there. Spence is not that guy. Whether we put Spence in the last minute of a game last year or this year starting, he's always ready to go. And that's a great trait to have in our league.
You mentioned you're watching Spurs Pelicans the other day. How much time do you budget just to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on, trends in the league? Not necessarily upcoming teams, but just what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's edits that these guys give me because it's hard to watch all these games. But I definitely, when I have a casual night and time on my hand, it's fun to watch those games as a fan. And sometimes you pick things up when you're less technical and you're more watching the flow of how games are going. I do think we can overdo it a little bit as coaches. So yeah, I just enjoyed watching that game and watching the young kid Queen, how skilled he is, and watching De'Aaron get up and down. And, I mean, it's a high level game. By the way, San Antonio is really good. If anybody hasn't noticed, Wembanyama hasn't played, and I know we lost to him, everybody, but they're okay. Like, San Antonio's got an okay team.
Who do you find yourself watching the most, just on League Pass?
It's a good question. I mean, mostly the Western Conference. I mean, with the Mountain Time, those late night games are fun to watch. I try to catch the East, but sometimes real life's happening during those games. But at night, the streaming stuff, when you're in those games and you start at 9 p.m. or 8:30, it sucks. But when they start and you have a night off, they are great, man. I love the 8 p.m. game when I'm at home. So yeah, I enjoy watching the Western Conference, man. Phoenix has been really fun to watch. All the shooting, the passing, they play with, just with a great energy. So yeah, Jordan's doing a really good job.
I don't know if we've asked you about Colin, just how well he's been playing there. Just what have you enjoyed about seeing how he's embraced that?
Yeah, I mean, Colin's not scared, man. We all know that. He's got it's a personality positive. He thinks he belongs, and he does. And his shot making has been really good, really elite since college. And I think that team complements his game. It's a bunch of different people that can initiate offense, a lot of people that can make a play that leads to a pass to another pass, and the way he spreads the floor and the way he can shoot it from deep. So really happy for Colin. We all know him, a great guy. So happy for his success.
Yep. Thanks.